But yeah, today I decided to do this music subscription tier list. I'm not just going to rank them. We're going to go through their offering. So I'm going to pull up the offering. I don't use everyone's subscription. You know what I'm saying? But I do have plugins and stuff that I've used from everywhere, demos and tried shit. You know how it is. I have a nice knowledge of stuff, see what's going on, and then I can see what's up. Let's take a look. Let's start with, what should we start with? Waves? All right. The thing about Waves is, so a lot of people are hating on them because out of nowhere, Waves is like, yo, subscription only. The plugins you already have aren't getting updated anymore. If you want updates, you have to subscribe. So all your old plugins that you bought, they don't update anymore unless you subscribe. I will say this about Waves, right? Waves are legendary. They're like the first ones to really make professional plugins. But I will say this. Either you buy your plugins or you subscribe to your subscription. Waves has been in a perpetual subscription model. People just don't realize it. Back in the day, you can buy Waves plugins, but to update them, you always had to pay. You're always in a subscription. If you don't have any Waves plugins, this is probably a pretty good deal. They have built up such a huge catalog of plugins. You can honestly get away with only using Waves. While Waves does have a lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you'll probably never use. So I gotta give Waves, as of right now, because it's our first, we'll move stuff around, right? But to start it off, Waves is definitely either A or B tier. It's definitely not S tier. I'll give it a B tier. Just because they do add stuff that's good. $25 a month is one of the pricier subscriptions though. But yo, let's get the fire out the way. Plugin Alliance. You see this. You're probably thinking, Plugin Alliance, the same price as Waves, right? $24.99. More expensive one is more expensive than Waves. But look, you pay $24.99 a month, right? And you get to use all these plugins that are in here. Right here. And then at the end of your subscription, you get to keep 6 of them. What subscription service lets you keep plugins after the subscription? You get to use all their plugins for $24.99 a month. Or this is probably a better deal. To be honest, you get 10 plugins. But think about that right now. You're paying $30 a month. You get to use all these plugins and you can pick your 10 favorite plugins. Say you sign up for the subscription and you only use 6 of their plugins the whole time, or you only use 10 of their plugins. You never have to subscribe again. This lets you test all of them and keep 10 of them. No other plugin company lets you do this. To be honest, me personally, I use Plugin Alliance. I probably only use 10 of their plugins. And that's not even a joke. With a Plugin Alliance subscription, instruments and synths too. So you can really produce, mix, and master everything. This is, without a doubt, the best subscription service bang for your buck. Because you're paying $30 a month, $25 a month, whatever you choose. But you get to keep plugins at the end. So you even have to resubscribe if you don't want to. If you only need 6 plugins from that bundle, you don't have to resubscribe. So because of that, Plugin Alliance, S tier. Without a doubt. It might honestly be our only S tier, I ain't gonna lie. Let's go UAD Spark. Where is Spark? That would be my S tier, amazing power and quality. I'll say this, their plugins are top tier. Also, why do they make these so damn big? Downside all subscription based? Nah, you don't have to get a subscription. I don't have the subscription. I have a bunch of their plugins. I don't have their subscription. UAD is just, this is new. And because of that, their offering is not as large as the Waves, the plugin boutiques. Sorry, did I say plugin boutique? The plugin alliances. You know what I'm saying? Their offering is not as large because they just started. They're still adding to it. I think I just saw they added the DBX compressor today. I know they just added this like today. I would say for the value, UAD plugins are expensive, right? So I would say for value, it's really good. The plugin quality is top tier. Can I put it in S tier when Plugin Alliance literally lets you keep them? $15 a month. And they add to it every month, which is dope. Fairchild, fire. I love this compressor. LA2A. Who doesn't love the LA2A? There's a bunch of LA2A plugins, but it's an LA2A from the people who make the hardware, the LA2A. It just makes sense, right? 1176, same thing. They're the ones who make this that everyone tries to make plugins out of. They're the ones who make this. So, of course, it's going to be some fire. UAD probably has the best instrument offering. Out of all these, that's not true. Roland, Native Instruments, we'll see what Native Instruments offers. Roland, maybe East West. UAD has the best instrument and a combo offering. For example, East West is only instruments, I think. Roland is pretty much only instruments as well, right? So UAD gets A tier. I think once their bundle becomes crazy, they would be S tier, I think. I think I would rather sign up for a UAD than Waves. The reason why I don't use it is because I already own a bunch of their plugins, right? So it doesn't make sense because it's pretty new. Let's go Splice. Now, Splice is an interesting one. They don't offer plugins, right? They let you buy plugins through them, but they themselves don't make plugins. They make like 2 plugins, I think, right? Like a synth, which is like Astra Synth or something like that. And then they make like a drum plugin. But for the most part, Splice is for samples and loops and stuff like that, right? It's going to be hard to rank around them, but let's face it. Splice changed the game, all right? I'd say Splice is B. Oh, it's hard. Splice is either B, above Waves. I think Splice is better than Waves, low-key. Or A tier, just because of what it did, its impact. You know what I'm saying? If you don't let Splice be your whole game, it's A tier for sure. But I feel like a lot of producers only use Splice, and that's just what they use. And so their stuff sounds the same as the next person who only uses Splice, you know what I mean? But overall, if used correctly, nothing wrong with loops. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with using loops. I got nothing against using loops. I use loops. I use samples. I make loops. I make samples. Some people only use loops. And when a bunch of people use the same loop, what's going to happen? Music ain't going to evolve, you know? Arcade is like Splice. Not as big of a library. But what's cool about Arcade is you can put your own sounds in it. You can create stuff like that. The library is way smaller than Splice. You can do way more with it. Right? And it feels more creative. Arcade just feels more creative because you can do so much with it before you put it into your thing. Arcade will let you really open an individual sound. Exactly. It lets you just dive into it. It's like, the way I see it, it's like a Splice synth. I think you're right. Splice goes down to B. Arcade goes to A tier. I put Arcade over UAD. Just because I don't think anything is touching plugin alliance. You can't really beat the company that gives you their plugins. SSL Complete $14.99 a month. The thing about SSL is, I'm pretty sure there's only mixing plugins. There's no instruments. I will say you can mix a whole entire session with just this bundle. But they do make a lot of great stuff. But again, no instruments. It's only for mixing. It's just a straight up mixing bundle. It's under Waves, honestly. It's a B tier. Under Waves. I think you get a good amount of stuff. It's only made for mixing. So if you're not an engineer, if you're on music production, and you want some plugins to like whatever, you're not really gonna get many like effects either. A lot of it's made for mixing. You know what I mean? You get some distortion here and there, but I don't see any. Oh, they got delays and echoes, saturation, but they don't have like special effect plugins. But the thing is, SSL quality is top notch. We're gonna give it B for now. Who is EW? East West. You never heard of East West? It's the composer cloud, right? And it comes to all these instruments. And they got some crazy instruments, I ain't gonna lie. You get a lot of stuff. Originally, it's made for scoring, right? So that's why it's the composer cloud. It's meant for scoring. If you are just starting out, right, and you have no sounds, so I'd say if you don't use native instruments, Contact, and stuff like that, it's a great collection. I would give it, it's somewhere in B. Let's go above Splice. I did debate on putting Splice here because it's so different from everyone else. Everyone else is either instruments or effects, right? But Splice is loops and samples. Would go A for the expansion of actual instruments. The thing is, how many of those instruments are you using? You know what I mean? And you need the hard drive space to fit all those instruments. Instrument libraries are heavy. Let's go Antares. Antares creates something called auto-tune, right? Which is so big that everything is called auto-tune now, even though it's technically pitch correction, right? It's kind of like, you know how people call like a copy machine a Xerox machine, or people call tissues a Kleenex, or when people call lip balm chapstick, we call pitch correction auto-tune because of Antares. I don't know if it's Antares, Antares, Lake Ontario. I don't know. I really don't know. All right. Artists, right, who just want to get a vocal sound, that classic auto-tune pitch correction. Look at this right here. $24.99 a year. You get Auto-Tune Access 10. You get some other stuff. I wish it showed me what I actually got. All the Antares plugins are mainly vocal based. Includes 22 plugins. There are 22 vocal plugins. You get the crazy Auto-Tune, vocal compressor. You get all the versions of Auto-Tune. But yeah, and you get every vocal effect you ever need. The thing about Antares is that all this stuff is really good, but it's so niche. You know what I'm saying? If you're only doing vocals, this is probably S tier. But in the grand scheme of things, this might have to be a C tier. I'm not going to lie. Their plugins are good, but it's just so specific. C is at least passing. D is not passing. I don't think I'm making F tier because, you know, anyone can at least get some use out of it. You know what I'm saying? Antares, I'm not sure. Do they release new plugins that often? I feel like they really don't. Now let's go to iZotope, bro. iZotope. Yeah, you saw me touch my head. iZotope makes great plugins. Don't get me wrong. They do. The thing about iZotope is they release like a new plugin every year. You're paying $200 a year, but you get a new plugin every year for the most part. This year, they dropped Ozone 11 and Nectar 4. So 2 new plugins this year. Having a subscription getting one new thing a year is tough. It's tough. But their plugin offering is good. I'll give them that. Do they have instruments? No instruments. As you can see, they have mixing, mastering, vocal mixing. That's the thing. They're 3 flagships. Well, they have 4 flagships, right? Which are these 4 right here. And the thing is, Neutron, right? It has EQ, compression, and stuff like that, right? EQ, compression, that type of stuff. You know what Ozone has? The same thing. EQ, compression. You know what Nectar has? EQ, compression. How much different can these EQs and compressors be? You know what I mean? There's a lot of overlap between these 3 plugins. They're 3 like main things. iZotope is solid, but I'd say their subscription is not worth it. I would not subscribe to iZotope. So say you subscribe today, right? Next year, you'll probably get Neutron 5. For example, this year, got upgraded from Ozone 10 to Ozone 11 and Nectar 3 to Nectar 4. So you're not getting like a brand spanking new plugin. You're getting the updated version, which has new features. I don't think their subscription is worth it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put them in D tier. Don't get it. Don't get that subscription. I put them in D tier. Now McDSP. This is an interesting one. It's only mixing as well. Now McDSP, right? Great sounding plugins. Their multi-band compressor is legendary. I use it a lot on vocals. They have great plugins. I got beef with them too because of upgrade pricing. They're really trying to get you to do the annual. They're like, yo, they push you so hard away from the monthly. From the plugins I've used, they're really good. It is iLock though, so you have to have iLock, unfortunately. iLock Cloud, I'm pretty sure. You don't need the iLock key, but you just need to have iLock Cloud. So that means you have to have internet. I don't really have too much to say about them. They're a C tier. Let's do Roland. Now, Roland Cloud, right? If you're just trying to get instruments, go crazy, right? What I like about Roland is all of Roland's like synths, their famous synths, they all right here. You want the Juno? They got it. Both versions. So if you just want synth sounds, Roland is the way to go. Let me give you guys on some game. If you ever want to do a Roland Cloud membership, wait until Black Friday. All right? They always do this deal where you can sign up, I think Ultimate, maybe? I'm not sure. For $20, same thing. I think it's 1 for the Pro, 2 for the Ultimate. So let's say $20 for the Ultimate, right? You go to the annual, you do $200, right? They let you keep 2 synths. And each synth, oh, don't look at these. Each synth's $150, $200, $100. You know what I mean? You're getting $100 pretty much to $150 for each synth. But around Black Friday, if you sign up for the Ultimate membership for $200, they let you keep 2 of the synths forever, perpetual license. So if that is something you want, where you want those synth sounds, Roland Cloud. All right? That's how you get them. So Roland, I'm putting in B tier. When it comes to sounds, they got great sounds. I'd rather have a Roland subscription than SSL subscription. If you get them around the holidays, it's S tier. Because you get to keep it. Do I recommend Roland? I usually wouldn't. I'd rather get Arturia, to be honest. I just like Arturia stuff the best. But if you want the Roland stuff from the if you want the Roland soft synths from the people who make the same hardware synths, that's the way to go. Only do it during the holidays, trust. Native Instruments is one of my favorite brands. The thing is, right, Contact is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But they don't give you their premium libraries with the subscription. That you get the Play series. I'll say this. The Native Instruments lineup is really good for beginners, I think. You get sounds for every genre. At one point, you could get for free. This, at one point, you could get for free. This was free at one point. I would say this is probably the cheapest, though. It's $10. I don't think they have a very good subscription. I wouldn't subscribe to them. I don't know if they're better than iZotope. They're on the same tier as iZotope. All right. Slate Digital. $150 a year, so $15 a month. Well, it's not. It's $15 a month or $150 a year. They got some great plugins. Honestly, I only have 2 subscriptions. One is Arcade, and the second is Slate. Why do I have Slate? Don't get Antares. Don't get the Antares when you can get Slate. Antares is $25 a month. Slate is $15 a month. I use Metatune for all my vocals that need tuning. You get the Kilohertz bundle. MoTT is a great plugin. Murder Melodies is like their RC20. Metatune, here it is. They got Anna 2 Ultra Bundle, which is a synth where you can play instruments, and it's very versatile synth. Virtual Analog, they have all the things you need. VCA compressors, your tube compressors, all that. They got everything you need. They got the Kilohertz bundle, which I think is actually really cheap now. It used to be something, but I think they made it free or some shit. I forgot. You got some amp sims and stuff like that. I just think, to me, Slate is a great deal. I can recommend them. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I give them S tier. I would subscribe to Slate before UAD. So here we are. This is my final tier list. It's funny because Native Instruments, right, owns iZotope and Plugin Alliance. So Native Instruments as a company as a whole has the worst subscriptions and the best subscription. Duality, my friend.